Hello, pre-calculus students, and welcome to the lesson on Introduction to Probability. Okay, so let's get started right away, and let's start with something called sample space. Sample space. So sample space is the set of all possible outcomes. Okay. The set of all possible outcomes. And I'll kind of illustrate what this means in a minute so that everything is a little bit more clear. So let's look at our first example where we have rolling 2 dice. So what is the sample space for rolling 2 dice? So what is sample? So what is the sample space for rolling 2 dice? Well, now a dice has numbers from 1 through 6 on it, and since you're rolling 2 of them, so let's say I have, I colored these dice. I have a black one, a red one, and a purple one. Okay. So what we could get is a 1 for the first die, and then a 2 for the second one, and then a 1 for the first, a 1 and a 1, a 1 and a 2, 1 and 3, and so on until you get 1 and a 6. Okay. Then you could also get a 2 and a 1, a 2 and a 2, a 2 and a 3, and so on until you get down to 2 and a 6. Okay. And we can repeat this pattern so you can get a 3 first, or a 4 first, or a 5 first, or a 6 first, and then there's 3 and a 1, 4 and a 1, 5 and a 1, 6 and a 1, and this pattern repeats until you get down here. 3 and a 6, 4 and a 6, 5 and a 6, and then a 6 and a 6. Okay. So altogether, if we count all of this up, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you can just kind of multiply here. It's 6 by 6, okay, or 36 possibilities. Now, this is the sample space. I want to be clear. This whole thing here is a sample space. Okay? Sample space with 36 elements. Okay. Now I know this may sound a little bit boring. This is a pre-calculus class. You've probably seen this in Algebra 2 before, depending on where you went to middle school or what classes you took before. You might have seen this before in Algebra 1. But as we get to some things that are more difficult, understanding what sample space really is and being able to identify it becomes more and more important. So let me switch boards here, and we're going to go back to this example in just a minute. So let's look at our next definition, probability. So probability is the number of outcomes of an event, of some event, okay, divided by the number of outcomes in the sample space. And so one thing to note here is that probability is always a fraction. It can be rewritten. It can be written as a fraction, at least in the world of discrete math. Okay. And it is just, we're really counting the number of ways an event can occur, and then counting the number of ways that an event can occur all within that sample space. Okay. So let's look at another example. If you're rolling 2 dice, what is the probability of rolling a 4? Well, the probability of this is the number of outcomes in the sample space here, in the denominator. And we saw from the last example that if you're rolling 2 dice, there are 36 elements in the sample space. So the denominator is 36. That's how many possible outcomes are there. Now we have to look at how many ways are there for us to get a 4. Well, And notice here, this is a 4, not a sum of 4, just to get a 4. Well, you can get a 4 here. There's 1, and there's, a 4 and a 1, 4 and a 2, 4 and a 3, 4 and a 4, 4 and a 5, 4 and a 6. So altogether, there are 6 ways of this. Okay. But you can also get a 4 here. You can get a 1 and a 4, 2 and a 4, 3 and a 4. So there's 3 ways here and another 2 ways here. So a total of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different ways. Okay. So this turns out to be 11 over 36. That fraction bar really didn't need to be that long. Now, a suggestion for all of you here that are watching this video, sometimes we take notes in class and it's okay for us just to copy down what the teacher's writing on the board. When we're dealing with probability and discrete mathematics in general, that is not enough. Okay, so I'm going to explain a lot verbally, and you need to write more than what's on the screen here. You need to write down some notes to yourself so that it makes sense to you. Okay? Because so much of this is not about the algebra, about the rote mathematics. It is about really deeply thinking about these problems and being able to look at them in multiple different ways. And let's take a look at one more definition, the probability function. So first of all, it is a function, and it maps an event to a probability. Okay. So let's say these are all the list of events, event 1, event 2, event 3, however many there are. Let's say these are probabilities. The probability function, P, some books write P, I'm going to write it P-R-O-B just so that it's a little bit more clear. It takes an event and it maps it to a probability. Okay. For example, in our previous example, the probability of getting rolling a 4 is 11 over 36. Okay. Now, one important feature of all functions, right, is domain and range. Well, the domain here for this is relatively simple. It's just the list of all events. Ask yourself, what is the range? What are all these possible values that the probability function maps to? Well, for any probability, and we'll say of some event E, that probability is a fraction. So it's the number of outcomes of an event divided by the number of outcomes in the sample. And these outcomes here can never really be bigger than the number of outcomes in the samples, because the events are part of the sample. So the number of events can never be bigger than the sample. Therefore, this fraction never ever gets greater than 1, and it never ever gets smaller than 0. And you've probably seen this before, and you might be thinking to yourself, this is obvious, I know this. That's good if you know it. Keep this in mind, okay, because a lot of people fall into the trap of forgetting about this later on, where they have a probability that's greater than 1 or some negative probability. Okay? So if it's 1, that's an event that's certain to happen, and if it's 0, then it's an event that's impossible. There's no way it could happen. So we'll end there for this video here, and I'm going to start another video. And I apologize, I probably didn't give you enough space to do all of these problems. So you probably want to use a separate sheet of paper. And I'm also going to add a bunch of extra examples to the ones that are in your notes. So you want so first, probably if you're in Mr. Wen's class and you have a printed note sheet for this, it's not going to be enough space. Okay, get a different sheet of paper. Okay, thank you for watching. Make sure you watch the rest of the videos as well, and have a wonderful day.